Hey there guys, EctoMaster here. This, of course, is another episode of Case Files, where we take a look at games that I have played and review them, and say what I liked, what I didn't like, that type of thing. This week's episode, we're going to be looking at Game Dev Tycoon. Now, just to kind of go into what the game is about, a simple synopsis of it. As it says in the intro, you taking a time machine and going back, way back, to the starts of the video game era. Not like, Pong, well, maybe Pong, but early console video games. And it is your duty to build a fantastic and amazing video game company. Now let me get right off the bat and apologize for the black bars that are along the right hand side and the bottom of the screen. I have no idea what those are. Zero. Couldn't tell you for anything. I don't know what was going on. Screen was fine when I was recording it. I couldn't tell you. That being said, there isn't really much to look at this game anyways, because as you can see, it's very simplistic. Now my original plan when I was looking to do reviews of games, and my whole point of I was going to go and do a point-based system like most channels do, most people do. I was initially going to rate this game much higher than the AAA title BioShock Infinite. Because I had finished playing both around the same time. Not at the same time, but around. That was my original plan. Obviously, this is more of a critique and more of a, here, check this game out kind of thing. And my 2 cents for whatever or however much it's worth. So without further ado, let's get into this. So the game is rather simplistic in its design. Not just its design and look, but in execution of the game. You have a character, you make a company, call it whatever you want, make the games and call them whatever you want, and release them. Go through the design phases and things like that. Now, if you know what you're doing, and I kind of know what I'm doing with this game, when you're making, depending on whatever type of game you're making, if you're making a simulation, obviously as you watch on the screen, I choose things that are going to be better suited for a simulation game rather than, say, an RPG. For example, an RPG is heavy on the dialogue, heavy on all the world look and this, that, and the other thing. Not so much on the AI, or really the gameplay. Whereas a game of a simulation, for example, it's more towards that AI and technical aspect rather than dialogue. So depending on how you do that. Now as you go through, you are in hopes of becoming a big giant company like, say, Blizzard Entertainment, and that you'll be making MMORPGs or AAA title games, such as World of Warcraft or BioShock Infinite. Now, the one downside to this game that I can say right off the bat, and I played towards the end game, is, well, I'll get to that in a little bit. I don't want to say it right off the bat. You know what? Scratch that. I don't want to say it right off the bat. Let's get into the process of the game. Again, as I said, it's very simplistic. Make the game, put it out, hope it does well. Now, as you start out, you are in your garage, for lack of any other term for what this actually is. It's a garage. That's what it is. But you're in your garage, and you make your games, and you start out with very simplistic. You have the PC and the Commodore 64. I'm not going to use the fake names in this alternate universe that you live in, but you have the Commodore 64 and the PC. Now, as time marches on a little bit, you get the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, you get the Sega Master System, you get the Gameling, the Game Gear, the Super NES, the Genesis, and it just keeps on going. It even makes fun of the pairing of Nintendo and Sony when they were originally looking to make the PlayStation for Nintendo, and then how a few days later, boom, they just fall apart, and Sony goes off and it makes the PlayStation on its own, and Nintendo becomes more of a family-friendly thing, and it even has that. Whereas if you go into the marketing side and the target audience, where the family-friendly games are more on the Nintendo side, and the more action-orientated and things like that are on the other consoles. Meanwhile, the PC is still sitting in the background. Now, what's interesting to note about this game, how this game became so notarized, is at one point it was being pirated. And we all know pirating is bad. Bad pirating. Boo. And at the same time, those that had gotten the pirated game would fall by the wayside of those who were pirating their games that they were making. And as they made those games, as they went out, they could not make enough money because their game was getting pirated. I thought that was absolutely ingenious. The game was cheap. I bought the game. Then they said, because people are... And when I bought the game, I'm sorry to say this, I don't mean to interrupt my own story, but a lot of people were starting to buy the game. And it was taking a lot of notoriety. And it was a lot of good positive press. I know if you watch this channel, you probably watch Jesse Cox more times than not. And he did did his take on this, and he had a blast with it as well. But because of that, either it was already considered for Steam, or it ended up on Steam. We'll just leave it at that. Those that bought a standalone version also got a Steam key. So this, believe it or not, is on the Steam engine. Now, it has... I love the Steam engine. This is being run off of Steam. Now, that being said, let me talk about some things that have changed over time. If you watch my original videos, and it was done through the original game, the standalone, you started out with a set of 4 choices on your topics for types of games. Now, on topics, I'm talking like medieval, as we just saw for Dark Knight. You have hacking, you have racing, you have fantasy, and then you have different, what is it they call it? Genres, I guess you can say. Action, RPG, and then you can, later on in the game, you can actually create an action RPG type game. Those things. Here you can see Ninvento is coming out. I'm trying to remember where I was going with this. Whoa. And as you had those kind of start, it was like sci-fi and medieval and shooting, or I don't know. There was like a set 4. When I checked it out on Steam, it had others that it was doing as well. Instead, it was totally random. It was, rather than the set 4, it was 4, but totally random 4. And the other one, you would have to set 4, then you would get like racing and fantasy and something else, and then it would just start going totally random. Every time you go to research a new topic, it would totally go random. But with coming on the Steam, it's just totally random. And it's a little weird for me, because it's like, okay, so RPGs are a good start, but these are all simulations. And simulations are good, but to what extent? So I found that kind of interesting, a little bit more of a challenge, I suppose, than just saying, hey, you're going to start off with these, and everybody starts off with these, and we can move on from there. That being said, it doesn't really take anything away from the game, except for at one point. It doesn't matter what you do. Oh, I just failed the contract. It doesn't matter what you do. You could pick a topic and a genre that totally don't match. Like here, I pick time travel and I pick RPG. So I make a time travel RPG. I could make a time travel simulation, and at a certain point in the game just goes, screw it, it's gonna be your number 1 game. You make a game that's number 1 and it sells incredibly well, and you make a shit ton of money. It's at that time, like when you start doing that, when you reach $1 million, the game starts going, see, you reach $1 million. Want to move to a bigger office? Now, the first time that I played this game, and those that play it for the first time, don't do it when you reach $1 million. Wait till you have like $5 to $10 million, then move on. I think that is one flaw with the game, is that maybe if I could have clicked on the door that's right next to you to move on to the next act of the game, I guess you can say, that would be better. But currently it's just like you have to wait for it to pop up, and it is annoying because as you're waiting for try and get more money to move out, it just keeps on. Hey, I see you reached $1 million. So you want to, move on to the next stage? No, I don't. I've reached $2 million. I want to at least, I don't know, 4 to 5 times more than what I already have. Okay. All right. Hey, you see you reached $1 million. Oh my God, seriously. Just let me, if I could have the choice to move out on my own, when you say no, and then it could pop up like a little tooltip. Hey, at any time you can click on the door next to you to move on to the next stage, or every so often it pops up. Not like, it was like almost every 2 minutes it was popping up on me. Like if it's been like 5-10 minutes. Hey, by the way, you reached $1 million. You want to move on? Okay, yeah, sure, why not? Because those that move on right at the $1 million, you're gonna fail. You're just flat out going to fail, and it's not gonna be pretty. I can promise you that it will not be pretty. Now, of course, as you go on, you won't see it in this video, but you can hire people to work for you. A maximum, I believe, is 6 once you get to the end game. And then, of course, you also have your staff that is working on research and development, as well as making like a console. The one thing that I do find rather interesting is that sometimes you do have games that come out and they are successful. I mean, flat out successful. And it's a #1 game. It's #1 for a long time. And like the worst it gets is like number 10. And that's by the end of its tenure. And as you can see, Slime Time up there. Keep watching. Eventually, it's just gonna peter out and end. And I would kind of hope that a game that is actually successful, like it breaks within the top 10 or top 20. See, Slime Time is already off the market. It breaks within the top 20, and if it's still like going strong, that the game continues to sell until finally it really isn't going strong. Like, not this, okay, so it's like, number 19, and it's been on the charts for like, 6 weeks now, and yeah, it's off the market. But it was still a top 20 game. And I was still getting a lot of money from it, and a lot of fans, and no, it's done, dude, it's done. And then you don't hear about games like that anymore. It's like, alright, so you release a #1 game, and that's it, it's over. You would think games like that, games that are successful, and don't have the minute you can start making sequels, I think you should get like the ability, for a game, say I released Slime Time, and it continued to be good, and I have sequel options, and I wait like a year or so, like 2 years, and I release a sequel to it on a better system with better graphics, and it's doing great. And it's doing fantastic. And it should, wait, maybe in 2 years, if it's still, selling, it's a high seller, it's still a high seller, it should just continue to sell. Until finally it goes, we're out of the top 50. You're still going to get, revenue from it, but it's not really going to be, quote-unquote, on the market. It's going to be on the market, but it's not going to be on the market. It's just going to kind of be there. It's the same thing that happens with MMORPGs, or MMOs. When you start doing MMOs, eventually it just starts getting to the point that you just need to put an expansion pack out, and it's almost like you're working more on expansion packs than you are on any other games. And again, I think that's a flaw, because although the expansions are good, I shouldn't have to sacrifice whether or not I want to work on an expansion or a new game. And by doing so can hurt the MMO or my chances on releasing new material. Or a sequel to a game that was 10 years old and could use this update. I think that needed to be sorted out a little bit. I don't know if that's how it is towards the end game now. I haven't played it quite a while, especially with the Steam updates and things like that. But it would be interesting to see if that has changed some. Or, you know, you just go the whole route of not making an MMO and you're just making AAA titles all the time. But that could also, I think, could be not really beneficial. All in all, I think this game is a heck of a lot of fun. To be honest, he gave me the title for the channel, Containment Gaming. I want to break that. Got myself a little drink. And, yep. Don't want to break what I'm drinking from. Behind the scenes. I think it's a fantastic game. It's definitely worth it. If you have not gotten this game, have not played it, I really recommend it. It's a hell of a lot of fun. It's simplistic. It's easy. Anybody can follow it, and you kind of learn from your mistakes. And it's not like a punishment. Bad you. You don't know what you're doing. Brr. But it's more of a it's a lot of fun. And it's kind of interesting to see because you could be doing really well one moment and then next minute you're dead. You're done. Some random company buys you. I also think that would be kind of interesting if you could, you know, buy other companies and have games, you know, have them make games, or, you know, take their library into your fold. That would be interesting. That would be an interesting, like, multiplayer aspect of it. Like, say Sasquatch and I had this game and his company wasn't doing well, and I got a pop-up saying, hey, your friend Sasquatch, his company isn't doing too well, and he's willing to sell his company for X amount of money. Do you buy it? Yeah, sure, I buy it. And all of a sudden, it kind of talks to his game and his things, and that would be kind of interesting to see. But all in all, again, this is a great game. I love it. It is absolutely fun. It is not hard on your graphics, not hard on anything. Definitely worth the look. Definitely worth checking out. And I say get it. If you haven't gotten it, get it. If you haven't, play more of it. And hope that they can put some other stuff out there. But that's about all I have to say on this. Excellent game. Very fun. Played out. There was times I was just playing it and I was like, oh crap, it's midnight. I need to go to bed. But one more game. I'm gonna make one more. Just one more game. I'll see you guys next time.
Right.